1 in 3 men who ignore declining testosterone never fully recover their baseline levels. Ever. I've watched patients try every shortcut on the internet, and most of them made things worse, not better. Today, I'm breaking down 12 methods to raise testosterone. Some work, some are a complete waste of time, and some will wreck your hormone levels if you do them wrong. So here's the full list. I looked at what's trending online, what people are actually trying, and I'm going to walk you through each one. What works, what doesn't, and the mistakes that'll tank your levels instead of raising them. Let's start with the most popular one. Abstinence from sex and masturbation. Does it work? Short answer, yes, but there's a massive catch. Research shows testosterone rises in the first week or two. But if you keep going past about 17 days, your levels start to drop. Hard. There's a whole movement online. I call them the abstinence evangelists, who claim you should never have sex unless you're trying to conceive. But modern medicine says otherwise. Not everyone has nocturnal emissions. Regular release is actually necessary. Without it, you develop congestion, chronic prostatitis, and your testosterone falls off a cliff. If you're not sexually active, either naturally or through masturbation, your hormone profile starts to deteriorate. It's not just testosterone, it's a cascade of other hormones. We'll probably do a whole video on that alone. Next, sleep. This one's critical. And it's not just how much you sleep, it's how well you sleep. You need deep, quality rest. Minimum 7 to 8 hours. If you're sleeping 6 hours or less, research shows your testosterone can drop by 20 to 25%. Sleep doesn't charge up your testosterone like a battery, but lack of sleep absolutely crushes it. You can supplement with naps if your nights are short. An hour or 90 minutes during the day can make a real difference in your hormonal recovery and nervous system reset. Ideally, you'd wake up without an alarm. That's how we're designed. But I know most of you can't do that. You've got work, you've got school. So if you can't control your sleep schedule, don't make things worse everywhere else. Remember that, and hit the like button. Now let's talk cardio. Here's where people screw up. Long, slow cardio will lower your testosterone. If you're grinding out hour-long jogs 5 days a week, you're doing the opposite of what you want. But short, intense cardio, what we call HIIT, high-intensity interval training, actually raises testosterone. Sprints, short bursts with rest. You're not just boosting your levels during the workout. You get an afterburn effect that keeps your hormones elevated all day. Long endurance work? That'll drain you mentally and hormonally. But smart, brief, intense sessions? That's a different story. But what about all those marathon runners who look lean and fit? Listen, people who run marathons are built differently. They structure their entire day around it. Training, nutrition, recovery. And they're not running marathons every 3 days. We're talking about regular activity here, your lifestyle, what you do 2 or 3 times a week. That's what matters for most of us. Next up, vitamin D, zinc, magnesium. Does it work? Only if you're deficient. If your vitamin D levels are already normal, adding more won't magically spike your testosterone. Your body doesn't panic and start cranking out hormones just because you're flooding it with supplements it doesn't need. But if you are deficient, especially in vitamin D, your testosterone can drop by 40, 50, sometimes even 60%. That's a staggering number. So yes, if you're low, fixing that deficiency works. If you're not low, you're wasting your money. Let's talk ashwagandha. This one actually works. It's an adaptogen. And unlike most of the junk people try, ashwagandha has solid research behind it. Around 300 milligrams a day can raise testosterone by 20 to 30% in some people. It mobilizes your endocrine system. It's not just about testosterone, it supports your adrenal glands, thyroid function, even helps some people pull out of mild hypothyroidism. But here's the thing, you can't stay on it forever. You take it for 6 to 8 weeks, then you stop. If you use it continuously, it stops working. Your body adapts. And sometimes, if you push it too long, you get a rebound crash. So use it strategically, during a training cycle, during prep for a competition. Then take a break. Same thing with ginseng, by the way. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What have you actually tried? What worked? Not just how you felt, but what your labs showed. Because a lot of people say they feel better. But when they test their levels, nothing changed. Or worse, their testosterone dropped. Sometimes you feel more energized, because the supplement is just stimulating your nervous system, not actually raising your hormones. And yes, testosterone fluctuates a lot. So testing matters. We're planning a whole video on how to prep for a testosterone test and how to read your results correctly. Because depending on when and how you test, your numbers can be wildly different. If the results don't match what you're experiencing clinically, I always recommend retesting. And I ask, were you sick before this? What time of day did you test? What were you doing that week? I had a guy once who trained 5 or 6 times a week. Came in feeling awful, low energy. Right before his test, he'd spent 2 weeks in Hawaii, lying on the beach, doing nothing. Came back, hit the gym the next day, then tested. His levels looked great. But that wasn't his real life. You have to test in the conditions you actually live in, not during an artificial oasis. Next, strength training. High-intensity resistance training works. A guy who trains and a guy who doesn't are hormonally different. If you're constantly stimulating your muscles, giving your body a reason to stay anabolic, your levels will be higher. But here's the problem. I see athletes training 5, 6 times a week, 2 or 3 hours a session. They're not recovering. They don't have the resources. They're running themselves into the ground. For a natural athlete, and I know genetics vary, 3, maybe 4 sessions a week is optimal. An hour to 90 minutes each. That's it. More is not better. More is usually worse. Exhausting yourself, driving your body into endocrine stress, that'll wreck your testosterone, not raise it. Keep your training short, intense, and smart. Give yourself time to recover. Now, alcohol. This should be obvious. Alcohol hurts. I'd add smoking to this list too. And recreational drugs. And honestly, sugar. Because sugar is its own kind of addiction, and it offers nothing good while doing plenty of harm. If you cut these habits out of your daily routine, you will see improvement. I'm not saying 1 drink a month will destroy you. I'm talking about the guy who has a glass of wine every night because he thinks it's healthy. It's not. Science has moved on. There is no safe dose of alcohol for regular consumption. Remember that? And vaping? Don't even get me started. I posted a short video about vaping on Instagram and the response was massive. If you want me to do a full breakdown on vapes and e-cigarettes, with the actual research behind it, subscribe and hit the bell. You'll see it first. Minimize stress. Meditate. Practice calming techniques. I measure my pulse every morning. In the shower. In the bathroom. Just standing there at rest. I know my baseline. If my resting heart rate starts creeping up, I know my nervous system needs recovery. Most people don't realize they're overtrained until they're already past the edge, when they feel terrible. By then, the damage is done. Learn to sense it earlier. Your entire endocrine system is wired into your nervous system. There's a whole field called neuroendocrinology. Your emotional state, your stress level, your fatigue. All of that drives your hormones. When you're stressed, you don't want sex. That's not random. Your prolactin rises, your testosterone drops, your cortisol spikes. There are no bad hormones. There are no good hormones. Any hormone can be helpful or destructive depending on the dose and the context. So if you're constantly stressed, constantly tired, never recovering, your testosterone will suffer, and so will everything else. It's hard to climb out of that hole once you're in it. The hardest part? Knowing whether you're actually tired or just lazy. And you have to separate physical fatigue from mental fatigue. If you're mentally drained, the gym can actually help. It's a change of stimulus, a mental reset. But if you're physically exhausted, if you've been on your feet for 10 hours, if you didn't sleep, if you just finished back-to-back surgeries, going to the gym will do more harm than good. Your testosterone won't just fail to rise, it'll crash. So go home, eat, sleep early, read a book, watch something that makes you laugh. Don't go to the gym out of guilt. That's how people end up overweight despite living in the gym. They pile training on top of chronic stress and wonder why nothing changes. You've probably seen them. Sweating, huffing, always there. But they never change. That's why. Lose excess weight. The more you weigh, the more demand there is on your testosterone. But here's the thing. You weigh a lot because you eat a lot, move too little, and eat the wrong things. So when people say lose weight, and your testosterone will rise. They're not wrong. But it's not the weight loss alone that helps. It's everything you do to lose the weight. Better diet, more movement, more water, better sleep, better vitamin intake. All of that makes you healthier. And yes, the fat itself suppresses testosterone. It worsens sperm quality. It messes with your insulin sensitivity and lipid profile. I knew a coach who used to ask his overweight clients to list 10 good things their extra weight had given them. Most couldn't name one, because extra weight gives you nothing. It's an enemy of healthy testosterone. Calorie intake matters. But not the way you think. Intermittent fasting, eating within a specific window each day, can actually raise testosterone. Same with periodic fasting, like fasting 1 day a week. But chronic undereating? That's different. If you're constantly in a calorie deficit, like someone with anorexia, your body goes into survival mode. It's not thinking about reproduction. It's thinking about staying alive. It'll hold on to fat. It'll lower your testosterone. It'll sap your energy and your motivation. You'll feel awful. So yes, diet matters. But don't confuse dieting with starvation. You need a proper eating plan that matches your goals and your needs. Not just eat less and hope for the best. That'll wreck your testosterone. If you're trying to lose weight, who's more important, a dietitian or a trainer? Neither. You are. You can have the best coach in the world, but if you don't follow through, nothing works. The secret isn't some magic diet. The secret is consistency. That's it. People waste time hunting for miracle protocols when the simple ones work fine, if you actually stick to them. Now let's talk about foods. Nuts, seafood, eggs, garlic, onions, turmeric. Do they work? Some of them contain cholesterol, zinc, magnesium. Seafood, for example, is often called an aphrodisiac because of its nutrient profile. If you're deficient in zinc and magnesium, eating seafood will help. But if you're not deficient, it's not going to do much. And if you already get plenty of fat in your diet, and you just start dumping more fat on top because you think it'll raise your testosterone, all you're raising is your belt size, contrast showers, and cold exposure. I use this sometimes. Not every day, but regularly. And it works. It's great for your endocrine system, but you have to do it right. That means regularly, not once a year when you jump in a frozen lake. The temperature swings need to be sharp, and there are protocols for this. You can find them online. How long to stay in hot? How long in cold? How to ramp up gradually. Don't turn a useful tool into a disaster. Don't go dump a bucket of ice water on yourself on day 1 and end up in bed with a sore throat for 2 weeks. Start slow. Gradually increase the contrast. Gradually increase the duration. Work up to it. Cold baths, ice baths, cryotherapy chambers. There's a whole world here. If you want a full breakdown, let me know in the comments. I did a live session on this with another doctor, and the response was huge. This topic is trending right now, and I think it's worth a deep dive. Next week, I'm covering something even more important. It's the question I get asked more than almost anything else. Premature ejaculation. How long should sex last? What's actually normal? And what can you do if it's affecting your relationship? I'm going to walk you through the modern methods, what actually works, what's a waste of time, and what the science says you can realistically expect. If you don't want to miss it, subscribe now and turn on notifications. This is one you'll want to see.